Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the November 3rd CRB meeting. We're going to get started with a roll call.
Chair Lewis.
Here.
Vice Chair Campenny.
Here.
Board Member Dooley.
Here.
Board Member Makeumson. Here. Board Member.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, so passed. All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Today on the agenda, we have the Creek District Mosaic project as well as the tree program. As I heard a,
Second.
thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move to any general comments from the public that's not related to the agenda today. Not seeing any in public, not seeing any online. We're going to move to any comments from the board not related to any of the agenda today.
The reason I'm late is because that bridge creates a real issue when it's closed, that low bridge. US 1's backed up, Wright Boulevard, everything. So they need to maybe adjust the lights so that there's a little more of a turn, because you end up at the end of the,
So, for what it's worth, Mike Mortel, city attorney, this particular maintenance issue, we did not consult with Barton County as it relates to modifying the lights, but for probably the last 8 years in a row, we've consulted with FDOT and Martin County regarding extending the left turn arrow coming in the morning and then leaving in the afternoons for the big bridge during the boat show in January. And they absolutely unequivocally said no every single time, and they said it's not permanent, it's not significant enough, and it's not worth the aggravation, and they have us put police out there to direct traffic. Problem with it is like you said, it's an all-day-long event, but we can go back in time, and we can thank Jean Rifkin and her SOS group that were so adamant about saving the old bridge when the new bridge was coming in, and saying that it was going to save Old Stewart, the SOS group, and in fact, they were right. It really does provide a lot of local traffic flow.
and it's a wonderful ride. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. Sorry, I'm almost late.
No problem, no problem.
Almost.
All right, we're going to get to the first item on the agenda today. That's a present.
Steve Paulson was back there then too. I don't want to leave him out of that group.
Anything else, Mr. Mortel?
My comment would be that if Frank would ride a bicycle, he wouldn't have to worry about it.
All right, so we're going to move on to item one. It's a presentation on the Creek District Mosaic project. We're going to be asked to approve two things after the end of the presentation. I believe the presentation is by Karina Poloni.
Yes, let me go ahead and introduce the item. Panal Gandhi Savda, CRA Administrator for the record. So as you mentioned, we have a presentation by Karina Poloni. She's a local artist and also part of the Creek District Board. The Creek District is proposing a mosaic artwork project in their district. The artwork will be installed in the sidewalk throughout the district. And the CRA's role in this is to help facilitate the program. It will provide a unique experience for pedestrians as they're strolling down the district. It'll help the local economy and just give that urban feel to Colorado and all the other streets throughout the district. They are requesting CRA funds to assist with the implementation of the program. Typically, every year the CRA budgets funds for the district. For fiscal year 2022, CRA budgeted $8,000 for the district, and this year they're proposing a special project, which is the Mosaic project, that they would like to use the funds for. And Corinne is here to give more information about how the project will be implemented, locations for the mosaic artwork, and also the artist contest that they're proposing for the artwork. So tonight we're requesting approval of two items of the mosaic artwork that they're proposing at two locations, and she'll provide more information in her presentation.
All right, Ms. Poloni. Have you stay, yes.
So we are very
We-
excited
Could you introduce
to.
yourself?
You have to speak right into that mic.
My name is Karina Poloni. Thank you for reviewing this project. Thank you, Pinal, for your support and your help in putting this together.
Just one
And-
second. Is that mic working?
Pull it closer
It's
to
the
you.
ice
Yeah,
machine.
there you go. There you go.
It's the ice machine's
I can hear you,
fault.
yes,
You can hear me
yes.
now, right?
got you.
I
Okay.
hear you now.
Okay, so this program aims to beautify the streets and also create a sense of place that will be unique to the Creek District along Colorado and that triangle behind it that is, kind of like Florida Street and A1A, right? So this would be, if executed in its entirety, a 4-year plan at the rate of 5 mosaics per year. Okay. Here's a purpose. I was just probably worded it better when I was less nervous and typing instead of speaking into a microphone. So yes, to engage the local community of artists and art appreciators, accentuate and affirm the area's designation as a district of arts and entertainment, and create new creative landmarks and points of interest throughout the district. I covered that next item. So the selection of artwork. The first 2 designs that we would like to submit for approval at this meeting will be done by Diane, there in the back, and myself. Diane is an experienced mosaic artist, and she has also taught mosaic art throughout the area for years now. I don't know how many, but for years now. So really, we are privileged to have her assistance and have her be on board for this project. After that, any mosaics to be installed after that will be created by anybody who wants to participate. It will be a contest that is open to people who are not mosaic artists or may not even consider themselves to be artists. And we will facilitate the creation of the actual artwork to make sure that it meets the specifications to be installed. So these are, of course, nothing set in stone, but some proposed locations for mosaics over the next 4 years. And I picked these locations. I pretty much just I walked the district and came up with locations that were scattered throughout the area, so we weren't prioritizing a given area or playing favorites to any businesses that were on the main drag of Colorado. So the first year it's color coded by year. So the first year is that burgundy pink color, and then the second year is orange. And each year I tried to kind of scatter it around so it wasn't too concentrated in a given area. Now, the sidewalk on A1A is on the other side of the road, kind of by the train track. And it might make sense to save that area for later on when there might be more traffic along that sidewalk, because it's not really an area that any art would get a lot of appreciation or be viewed frequently. So this is the first design that we would propose. This is Diane's design, and it's just a sketch. She really does know what she's doing. She doesn't really like to draw. She's a mosaic artist. So, but the concept is perfect for a first mosaic because it is just featuring the Creek District, and it'll have the text in there. And this is the dot that is on Colorado, just go down from the point, that would be Confusion Corner up there, that green dot in the upper left-hand corner, just go down one, and it's that red dot that's kind of a very central location in the district. A proposed date for installation would be January 7th. We feel like that timeline is doable for us if it works for the city. And then this is my design. I paint too, so it's just based off a painting. Katie has seen the painting. It's at 901 Hub. And I would like to put this on MLK. The address is right there. But I understand that the roads might be redone. We're flexible as to where things go. So that would be installed, if it works out, date-wise, on the 22nd of January. And this is a timeline that includes details for art contests that would give us the work, like artwork to choose from. And so I guess let me talk about how I'd like to structure the contests. It's expenses, we can go back to that. So, okay, who may submit artwork? So we want to do art contests that are open to anybody. We want this to be like massively engaging for the community. So no matter who you are, you can submit a design. It can be a photograph, it can be a sketch, it could be a collage or any image that you think would make a good mosaic. And we will assess it based on whether the image will translate well into the medium, whether or not it fits with that specific location, and just the general appeal of it. So in terms of a sense of place, I think that's where it might be a little abstract, because living in Stewart, there are things that we see a lot of regularly. We see a lot of pineapples, a lot of sailfish, a lot of palm trees, boats, the water, the beach, stuff like that. And while there's nothing wrong with seeing that subject matter in art, some of us might feel like maybe we see enough of it, right? So we'd like to give it some thought where things will go in terms of the businesses that are nearby, maybe the natural features that are nearby, the creek, for example, itself. But we'd also like some latitude. So there's an element of surprise when people walk down the sidewalk and they see something that is, just different and fun and new. So the Creek Board would like to pick 3 finalists, and then, like for each art contest, for each location, 3 finalists, and then show them to the CRA board. And our goal is to have 3 finalists that are approved, because the next step will be to show those images to the public, and we would like the public to vote on their favorite, on what they would like to see at that location. So whoever ends up winning that survey, we want to have confidence that that will meet your approval for installation. So right from the beginning, the contest is open to the public, and anybody in the public who wants to commit to creating a mosaic. And the task of choosing from the 3 finalists selected will also fall to the public. And we hope to use this as an avenue to create some buzz for the artist who's involved, the 3 artists. And from there, we can kind of celebrate them and their contribution. Now, the art itself will be created in a workshop environment so that it meets the specifications. Diane and I will run those workshops and make sure that the artwork is created in an appropriate and aesthetically pleasing way. And then, once it's installed, we would like to have a celebration for the artist. So those are the dates that are represented here. So the contest will open, the finalists will be approved, the winner will be determined by survey. And it kind of follows the same sort of timeline where they overlap so that there's always buzz happening. There's always something going on. We're always announcing the next survey or the next winner, the next contest is opening. I realize I'm in the wrong year here, but anyway. The first year is a little choppy because Diane and I are creating the first mosaics, and this will help us work the kinks out of the process so that when we do have people submitting artwork, we really know what we're looking for and how to fine-tune the process of having people come and create it. So let's see. These are just, these are dates these dates do not need to be set in stone. It's just to provide an idea of what our timeline would look like and what our process could look like. So this is the expenses, these are the expenses per location. We would like to offer the winning artist who is going to create the mosaic an award of $650. Part of this will go to cover the expenses of them creating the mosaic in a workshop environment. Administration and marketing will cost, and these are estimations that we won't really know until we kind of engage with our process a little more, what precise costs are going to be. We would like to have an unveiling celebration for each piece because it is a finished work of public artwork. And installation, including materials, well, we might be able to take that off because I think Milton will be working on that. So the total per location on here is $1,450, but if the installation including materials is coming off, then obviously $1,250. And then annually times, I think that's supposed to say 4 locations. So we understand you would reimburse any funds after the work is installed. So we've applied for grant money to fund the first couple of mosaics. And anything in the budget that you would write a check for would go to the Creek District, and the Creek District would disperse according to this budget.
I know that the Creek District was designated, but has it received a 501c3 status and it's filing returns and as board?
That is in process now and should be completed by Friday. Is that correct?
I just want to make sure everybody knows that we would need any authorization for writing checks to anybody to be contingent on that being completed.
Understood. Okay. So I think I covered all of the information that I have in this presentation.
And in the meantime, if it was CRA money or whatever, it could still go, we could move forward, and all could be through Pinell. It just, until the 501c3 is verified by the IRS, it probably prevents us from partnering with it without a bunch of other stuff.
Before we get into comments from the public and comments of the board, just for clarification, we usually get artwork and murals and stuff like that. This is the first time we've kind of had mosaics. And so what size and scope are we talking about? Are you talking about on the roadway? Are they painted? Is it large, small?
So the dimensions that we think we would use most frequently would be like 4 square feet, so a 2 by 2 square, but there may be locations where we adjust those dimensions just so it works better in that particular spot.
And are we talking on a sidewalk, on a road, on a wall?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, sidewalk.
Sidewalk, okay. Before we get into comments from the board and questions from the board, is there any general comments from the public?
Oh, right. So everyone understands that a mosaic means that you have pieces of material, usually glass or ceramic tile, that are held together with grout, right? Yes. Everyone understands that? Okay.
So for example, that sketch that she had was going to
Right.
be with pieces and filled out in that shape, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we didn't see any more comments from the public. Board members, do you have any?
I'll make a motion for discussion so that we can
I'll
take
second it.
public comment.
I'll second it.
Perfect, thank you. Again, any comments from the board now that we're able to speak?
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a few, not comments so much as understanding. So the way you want to do this is you two have picked the first murals without a contest or anything, correct? Mosaics.
Yes, we would like
Okay.
to.
Just to get it going.
Yeah.
Have you, and it's great, you know, CRA funds should be used for projects like this, but Mr. Chersky is sitting there, and Mr. Chersky has raised thousands of dollars for art over the years, for city art. Have you thought about, instead of just coming to the government one more time to do this, have you thought about raising private funds?
Well, no, because I was approached and told that there was funds that the city needed to spend on such a project, so I designed this project with that specifically in mind.
Well,
Well-
I mean, I have, you know, again, I just think that everyone coming to the government every time for every little thing, it's not what government is for. And so while I think this is a great project, I'd like to see raising some funds for it too. I mean, I'm not saying the CRA shouldn't chip in.
You applied for Art Council grant.
Yes, I did. I applied for a grant for materials to begin.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
hear that.
I applied for a grant for materials to begin this project.
Okay, and I think not only grants, but from others, so that a citizen, and to kick that off, if you are going to be a 501(c), I will give you $1,250 from my pocket. I will donate it to the Creek District for your mural. But I think you need to speak to people like Mr. Chersky, who is really good at this. I've never seen anybody better at taking money from people. And again, I'm not saying we shouldn't use the Creek District, the CRA money, but I'm saying I'd like to, you want to get buy-in with workshops and everything? How about buy-in with some cash from from our citizens, even if it's $100?
Okay. Board member Walker, did you have?
Yes, I have a couple questions. The first one is, throughout where my daughter lives over on California, there are murals or mosaics in the sidewalks there. They're wonderful, but there are missing pieces of it where they're actually missing. And they've been missing for quite some time. What kind of glue, have you learned from how to stick it down to where it's better than the thing so they will stay and not be missing? And these may be questions I have for the artist, because the next one is for her also, and that is, there's colors on your first piece. It's not a line drawing, that was just a sketch of how it would generally look. But you are going to have colors, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good enough. I don't need detail on that, but on the glue,
But
I'm
on
kind of
the,
curious.
yeah, on the mosaics that are in the neighborhood, those mosaics were done quite some time ago. It was done by a community project. I do not know what thinset or mortar they used to install them, and I think that, there's two things going on with those mosaics. One is purely time. They've been there for a long, long time. And the second one is, it was a community project. I don't know what expertise there was when they were installed. In that neighborhood, about a year and a half ago, I did 2 brand-new mosaics in the sidewalk for a homeowner that commissioned me to do them. And I had a professional tile guy come and install them. He used thin-set mortar, it's like concrete. We build the mosaic on mesh with tile or glass, and then he lays a bed of thin-set or mortar concrete, and then the mosaic on mesh is laid in that concrete, and then we grout. We visited them recently to see how they're holding up, and they're excellent. And
How
I
long
have
ago was
no
that?
doubt that they will last 20, 30, 40 years because of the way that they were installed. So that's a valid concern. I look at those other mosaics and it upsets me that they're in disrepair. They could be repaired or redone, but I think we have a process that is going to ensure durability on the ones that we put, especially since they're going to be on Colorado and other public areas.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one other comment or question on that, and it kind of ties into what Tom was saying. Couldn't we in this program also write to get them done quicker, write in there a matching fund incentive to where if a business owner wanted to get an additional one, or somebody wanted to pay for something to go in a specific location, I think it would be a good thing to add to this, so that rather than having to wait 5 years to get the street art there and the mosaics in there, and we would need to follow your process, because I like the idea of it. But maybe it could happen, if somebody wants to donate money, then if we put that in, then maybe it could occur quicker.
So Frank, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you amend your motion? And it's an easy amend because I think we could have Mr. Chersky be the liaison for this project in order to help raise the private, get the private sector involved. Would you mind doing that, Jim? Well, I was going to do that even if he didn't show up, so.
I actually think the more appropriate manner would be for you to direct the CRA director to give the city manager as it relates to whoever he wants to assign to that project on behalf of the city, and obviously we'll tell them your intent for Jim, but for the purpose of the motion and the
All right,
protocol.
it's fine with me. I'll second it if you.
That's fine with me. I'd like to see a incentive put into the program so, we could get them done quicker. Yes.
Just for clarification, just because there's 2 things that we were supposed to kind of vote on. Is number 1 was the approval of the artwork, and number 2 was the budget. So are we talking about?
I'm talking
To
budget.
the budget.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking budget. right?
Okay, so
Right.
just wanted to make sure that's what we're talking about. That's what the vote would be on.
Did I hear 2 things? So he's requiring private funds and he's having a match for private funds? but not
I just
required?
wanted to be able to have an incentive that would get the program done quicker. However, it's most efficient for that to be accomplished, and I believe it's with private funds that
But they're
could
not-
be matched if somebody says, hey, I have the money for
I just
half
wanna
of
make-
this.
It's not required, it's an incentive.
Right, it's
Yes,
all
yes,
about
yes, yes.
incentives. Exactly, that's
So
my
instead of doing
objective.
5 next year, you could do 10 next year if somebody stepped up and gave $8,000.
And
to match
it would just
Right.
mean somebody would have to
Yeah.
push.
Board Member Strock, did you have something?
Yeah, I was curious if, Kunal, do you know, and I think most projects have just elected to do the artwork on site, but are there any developments in the pipeline that have contributed to the 1% art in public places fund, or has everything been done on site?
I think everything has been done on site. I don't know of any contribution to that funds yet,
I just,
so, yeah.
if
Yeah,
there
we
was
could.
if there was a development project that,
Yeah.
being on the other side of that equation, it's kind of unclear, like if I contribute
Yeah.
1% in just cash as opposed to building it on my site, like what is it going to? Just outside of this vote, it may be something to
We have
consider.
run into that problem many times.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, well, we have a motion and second for the question as to the budget. Are we ready for a vote? Okay, I think it's
Did you
gonna,
have something?
it's
I think
clear.
you
I have a
just-
question.
no, I'm sorry.
When you discuss the sidewalk, where at on the sidewalks would they go, and would they enable anybody from walking and going around them, or?
Well, I think most people kind of instinctively will go around artwork, but one of the reasons that we want to supervise the creation of the artwork is to make sure that it will not create much of a impediment to the traffic. Like, we don't want it to be elevated above the sidewalk to create a trip hazard or anything like that. So we kind of designed the program with that in mind, public safety and longevity of the pieces and.
How big it is as to what sidewalk it'll fit on better?
Right, yeah, yes.
Okay.
I want to talk about the timeline of the accelerating things. So that sounds great to get more of this done per year, but it will be possibly difficult to do it in the way that we designed it, which is to have public art contests. It's going to be a task to engage the public sufficiently to get a good amount of submissions to 4 contests a year. To do 8 contests a year is a lot, and the spread out like that, I'm just saying that the pickings may be slim for good art. One of the things that we had talked about but did not include in this presentation was a possibility of allowing business owners an opportunity to engage with the program in a manner similar to the mural matching program. So that would be like a way that we could expand the program if a business owner said, well, I would like to beautify this sidewalk right here, and I would like to even pick an artist or something like that. That would be a good way to get more mosaics in a shorter period of time, for example. Does that make sense? Worry about the-
Inspiring the businesses is exactly what I had in mind, thinking that they would want to have that occur in front of them. But I hate to create a program that limits the ability for the community to contribute funds and not just art. So obviously, it has to be done in a fashion that, is rational and makes it to where we're getting good art. But it just, that was my objective there with what I was saying.
And if you don't raise the additional funds, it'll only be the original 4 projects. So,
Right, that makes sense.
So, I think you're putting problems, and you don't need to put the problems up right now until we see how it all goes. Let's get the program going, then let's see how it goes.
Board Member Wilson.
I guess I have 2 questions or comments. One is, what fund are we taking this out of?
I reserve $8,000 for the Arts and Entertainment District. I
Okay.
reserved $8,000 this year. Last year, I did $8,000 also, and we did 2 kiosks in the district.
I can't
Prior-
understand you.
Can
Say
you
it
hear
again.
me? Sorry. So this year, I reserved $8,000 for the Arts and Entertainment District.
Yeah.
And they've selected to do the Mosaic art as their special project. Last year, I reserved $8,000 also, and we used that funds to buy kiosks for the art district.
Cool.
And the prior year was, we bought banners for the arts district to promote the district.
I guess, and then my other comment is, I think that getting the public involved is extremely important. I think you've got a good program to make it happen. We need to make it happen. One thing that the board has mentioned is getting contributions toward it. Not necessarily to speed it up to 8 contests a year or 10 contests a year or whatever, but that is the way you do get the public involved, is by saying, hey, would you like, so, and hopefully Jim can help you with that.
Or
Right now,
whoever the
I-
city manager assigns.
What? Did he just interrupt me?
Yes, he did.
He did? No. Tom would never do that. Because I'm old, and my thoughts don't stay here forever.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
And the other thought was, I think it's great. I think we should start out with these two. If somebody walks up with money, don't turn it down.
Never.
And,
Yeah, you got
but we got one already. He wants this, he looks just like the lion, so that's what he wants is, his picture on the sidewalk. And I think, let's see how it works. The more public interest we can get, the more money you can get, the more you can do within the limits of your organizational ability. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? So I think we start with these two, see how it rolls. The contest thing, maybe there's enough people out there that do mosaics. I certainly don't even draw, so I wouldn't worry about that. But let's get this generating. Let's just get this going while we can, and then take the money when it's.
I have a question. Are they gonna have to, because this was a 5-year project, and if they don't raise the funds, are they gonna have to come every year for the
I think the audit
7?
approval every year.
Well, they
right?
will have to come if they want more money, because there's only so much budgeted every year.
Right. I mean, yeah, and so, I think it's great. Let's get started with it. You're gonna take time and have time to get your organization up to speed anyway, before you can accept $100,000 worth of materials to do it. You're not gonna be able to swallow a lion while you're at it, start with a cookie. And I'm very proud of you for having doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I forgot to include something that's kind of important, and that is that, glass is very expensive. The tiles themselves are the most expensive part of this project. And one of the reasons our budget is lower than you might otherwise expect for these pieces of artwork is because we received, I think, probably about half a ton of glass tile from the Arts Council. I would love to use some of it up because it's sitting in my studio right now, taking up a lot of space, so.
Incentive.
That will
Yeah, I
dictate-
just want to clarify that my motion was for both parts of that.
Okay, so the.
I was just commenting on, and I commented on both parts, but the modification of the motion was for the part about the budget.
Yeah.
But I did make a motion for both
Okay.
components.
One thing that comes into play, if this is successful and we get down the road, I think there's a lot more room for mosaics, to be honest with you. Both Tom and I have traveled a lot, and one of the things that always fascinates me is when you go into some place and you see this mosaic that's on a wall. That is very impressive. They stretch the walls of monasteries and churches and stuff like that, and mostly, and definitely not, sometimes not religious, but mostly historical. And I can see where if somebody wanted to put a mosaic on their wall, I think that'd be a wonderful thing.
About every street corner in
No.
Madrid has a mosaic on the
Yes,
corner.
it does.
I mean, that's
You know.
just the point when you're walking
I
around
was thinking to
Madrid, you
myself,
see that on
we were at
every
Katie.
wall.
He brings that up. I was thinking to myself, water fountains surrounded by mosaics would be a wonderful 1% contribution to the arts.
And that's a perfect surface for it, too.
Katie.
I have a question. The area in Potsdam with the mosaics now, is that considered, that's the Creek District?
No.
It's
the
not.
Triangle District.
The Creek
That's-
District stops at Colorado, right there.
Right.
We did speak to some of the residents in that neighborhood, and we have walked that neighborhood and looked at the mosaics there.
Is there a way to
And-
get those fixed?
I mean, we would be certainly open to working with them, but because it was kind of a community project, those residents are very vested in what goes there and want to be very engaged in the process of redoing those. So,
I think we should stick to this and take a
Yeah.
vote on this, and then if you want to
Yeah, I
bring that
don't-
up later on.
although we're open to that, we don't think it belongs as a part of this program.
I think we need to take baby steps to get our organization together and the way things process and roll out. And once you get it efficiently going, man, we can roll it out. Because I truly think mosaics are very beautiful. I think they really are so much better than murals, to be honest with you.
Well, we've got two artists here that are really ready to get going on the first two mosaics. And then after that, the next one will be a contest one. So, ours are kind of like in the bag. You got us, you've seen our designs. But the next one, if we're to start that contest to stay on the timeline to complete the ones that we would like to do this year, then we'll need to know that, you're backing that.
We have a motion and second. I think we're going to need a roll call.
I just want to be clear, so we're approving the two artwork that's presented today, and also funding of those two
Yes.
artwork, and then in the future,
No,
when the
not in the future, with
With-
the whole motion,
the
we're funding in the CRA, and stop me if I'm wrong, we're going to fund up to $8,000.
got it.
But we are going to ask that we seek private contributions to augment that $8,000.
Okay, so the next one that they present, they bring to the board, you would want to see that some contribution was made towards that artwork?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but I would like to see,
Okay, so-
I'm personally,
If
and
they
I
wanna
think
do
that's
more
the
than-
motion.
Yes.
I
I'd
think
like to
we're
see it.
authorizing the funding for 5, the artwork for 2, and then you can do more than 5 in this next 12-month period if you get private funding, to accelerate the
And
program.
it's contingent to the 5013C, Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
That gets
Yes.
approved? Okay,
Yes.
just making sure.
Okay, so can we take a vote?
Roll call?
One second. Can we possibly make the lion look a little bit more like Tom?
Can we, I don't even hear what you
Less like
said.
Jim.
Then his money can, go.
Pete, can we just take the vote so we can move on? I'd
I
like to
gotta
go
leave at
home
5,
tonight.
guys, I'm just letting you know now.
Oh, now Tom's starting to look like the lion. Yeah.
Board Member Dooley,
Yes.
Board Member Makimson,
Yes.
Board Member Waka,
Yes.
Board Member Schroeth,
Yes.
Board Member Walson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Campenny,
Yes.
Chair Lewis.
Yes.
So, Jim, I know you're not the guy because I can't officially say you're the guy, but will you tell the guy you know where I live so you can always collect the check?
Behind the guy. Behind the guy. All right. Made my job easy.
In this instance.
We're going to move on to item number 2 on today's agenda. That's the R12 2021 CRA Residential Street Tree Program.
Okay,
I'll move resolution 12, 2021.
Second.
what?
You may want to get a presentation.
Oh, okay.
You can do that.
No, we want the presentation. This is just so that we can have
discussion.
comment and public comment and stuff like that. Be efficient.
We know Pete likes the trees, so
We're going to let Pete take the lead.
let him go on this one.
It doesn't include benches.
Yeah, I would like to lead off.
Well, can we get the presentation, sir?
No, I want to lead off anyway. Because I want to thank staff. When I opened this agenda and I saw the tree ordinance that I've been looking at in other cities for a long time, I'm very proud of you. You quietly just work your way through and you do these things because they're good ideas and you think of them and you pick them up and you don't tell anybody to get any praise. And all of a sudden you come forward with, in my view, an absolute winner. And so I think you deserve the credit for taking it on your own and just doing it.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Aye, aye.
Thank you.
All right.
So did we want a presentation?
Yes.
Let's get a presentation. They came all this way.
Short one then, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll keep it short. So I was directed by CRA board and, time to time from the CRB board to develop this tree planting program for the CRA. So what I did is I looked at the residential areas within the CRA, and with the help of GIS staff, we looked at the tree data in these neighborhoods. That really helped us prioritize the neighborhoods, so that way we can look at neighborhood one by one. So based on the tree data, East Stewart has the least amount of trees in that neighborhood, followed by Fraser Creek, and then El Dorado Dixie neighborhood, Lauder neighborhood, Riverside Park, and Stipman. So staff also coordinated with Florida Native Plant Society to recommend native plants that are drought tolerant. And Greg is here from the Native Plant Society. I'm very thankful to their board for providing the list that was in the agenda item. And then I had Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and Lucido and Associate look at their list so that way we can reduce the number of trees offered in the program. So those lists was provided to you today because I was still working on some of the logistics of the program. And the 5 trees that we would offer in the program are live oaks, pigeon plum, gumbo limbo, Geiger tree, it's a flowering tree, and then green buttonwood. And I provide, the documents that I provided to you has more detailed information and specs, so you have that in front of you. The way the program will work is that we will have the application cycle open in December if the board approves, and then close off the application cycle in January, end of January. Staff will review all the applications, and they will have an opportunity to select a tree from the list that we're going to provide to them. And then staff will actually go out there and decide what's the best location for the tree that they've selected. And then we'll put this on a master plan with the location and the type of tree for each parcel. And then we'll provide that to a nursery to provide us with a cost estimate. And then I've already budgeted $40,000 for the Brush with Kindness program. So we're just going to move some funds around to this program since we really don't get to use funds in the Brush with Kindness program. So there's not going to be any budget amendment required if the estimate comes down to below $40,000. So that kind of summarizes my program. But I do want to thank Greg and the board for helping me with the list because I honestly don't know much about trees.
Perfect, thank you. For the board members, for the recommended action, paraphrasing, I guess, number 1 is whether or not they're going to go in East Stewart first. Also to narrow down the list of the trees,
Yes.
whether or not for the first 90 days, are they going to, is the city going to help with watering the trees to help establish them? And finally, just the approval of the approval of the program.
Yes, so I do have those recommended action on the screen there. So I'm asking the board to approve resolution number 12-2021. As far as the recommended list, initially I didn't have the reduced number of trees offered, so that's been provided to you. So I'm asking the board to approve those 5 trees for the program. And also if we can implement the program in East Stewart first based on the priorities list and limited staff time. So it would really help us understand the program and how it will be implemented. And then also if the board can direct staff whether we want to pay for the 90 days for watering of the trees in this specific neighborhood.
All right. Open any comments from the public before getting the comments from the board?
You said, I have a question. You said in the East Stewart area, do you have any specific locations?
Yeah, so that map was in the package. I have it right here too. So East Stewart, it's a pretty big neighborhood, so I broke it down to 1A and 1B. 1A would be from Dixie to Tarpon. So that's where we would implement the program first. And then we could do from Tarpon to Palm Beach Road as next phase next year.
And these plantings are in the right-of-way?
They would be on private property in the front yard or in the city's right-of-way.
if someone comes from 1A the following year, they're not gonna be able to do a tree? You only have that 1 year to do it?
Yeah, 1A would be for fiscal year 2022, just because, we're just launching the program. We want to see how it's going to work and how much staff time it's going to require. So,
And that's fair, so
Yeah.
that everybody in the city gets a chance. Otherwise,
Right.
you're gonna go back to all the neighborhoods you've
Yeah.
already done.
and it really has the most benefit if you concentrate on one area, and you'll really see the difference because most of the trees will be in one area. For the Stipman 6A neighborhood, that's going to be part of a streetscape project that I'm working on right now. And also North Riverside Park neighborhood, that's also a streetscape project. So those two neighborhoods, we might not even need to do anything.
So we're concentrating right now on 1A. for
1A.
the Year. So you wanna amend your motion to include her recommendations?
That would have been my question. Do you want me just to include all those 4 items in my motion?
Yes.
I thought they were.
Well, all you gotta do is say
Do
staff recommendations.
you want to do it individually, so you can let me know, okay, whatever the first item is, right here?
Like, for example, let's start with the implementation. I can't say implement today. The program in East Stewart as a priority.
Chair Lewis, I do apologize, someone did end up raising their hand.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to comment.
Mhm.
It's Casey Kniffen.
Casey is with NAACP, and she's going to help with the application process.
To offer my support.
Oh,
I'm sorry, could you say it
summarized
again if
it.
you can hear us?
Sorry, could you hear that?
We
No.
couldn't hear you. Could you please restate?
Sure. Am I coming through now?
We can hear you now. Yes, so you please state your name and
Great, yes, this is Casey Kniffen. I am the Environmental Committee Chair for the NAACP. And I'm just offering a public comment to state my support and thanks to Pinal for this project.
thank you.
Thank you.
Am I still coming through?
You're still coming through.
Okay, I just wanted to say that we have been in contact, and the NAACP is excited about this program and is willing to offer support to engage the public and get this program up and running and trees planted as soon as we can.
All right, thank you. Is there any further comments from the board, questions from the board?
I have one comment just for staff. Basically, I know Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council is working on a plan over in that area. So I just want to make sure that you coordinate with them
I did.
as things go. I know, not just for the program,
Oh, okay.
because I think it's great, but when somebody says, hey, I want to do it, and we start actually doing the work, make sure that it's not something that's being done, then the street's going to get redone or something like that. I just
Yeah.
want the coordination. I don't need any detail.
Well, they're working specifically for US 1 corridor from Joan Jefferson to Colorado, so it's completely different area. But if there is an opportunity to coordinate, yes, we
Okay.
will.
I
If-
think what
if
Frank's
that
referring
isn't
to
something
is, I think what Frank's referring to is Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council is looking at like a form-based code for that neighborhood. So
Yeah.
if we pay to plant an oak tree in someone's yard, but and it's 15 feet off the street, and
Okay.
then the
Yeah.
region, then the planning council says, well, your building has to be 10 feet off the street, when something gets built on that lot or, you know, whatever, that tree may be in the way. And so
Right.
Frank's saying,
Yeah, that makes
you know,
sense.
don't plant a 30-year
Yes.
oak
Yeah.
tree in the way of, you know, where a building's supposed to go.
Yes.
Thanks for the clarification.
Then I have one more, I have a question then. We're gonna plant them so that they really are shading the sidewalk,
Right,
correct?
right.
So we're not gonna plant them just so that people have trees. We're really planting them
Right.
so that people have trees, but so does the city when people are walking down the sidewalk.
Right.
I don't
and
think it
it's- and
requires like a clarification of code. I think it's just a matter, or like of this item, I think it's just a comment for staff that, you know, make sure that the efforts aren't counterproductive.
Yes, I will provide the
Exactly.
master plan to them once we have that developed. And in the application, it's specific as far as how far it needs to be off the street or sidewalk. We are being very specific on the setbacks.
Okay.
So will it be easier just to go 1 through 4 and just vote on them
Yes, that
individually
would
for you?
that would
Okay.
make
All right, so we're going to start on the vote on item number 1, the implementation of the,
I have a comment.
okay?
Question for staff, anyway. I know that the Brush with Kindness, we've got the funds in there, and it hasn't been extremely used a lot. And the same thing with the business improvement grants. They're not falling off the tree out there to come and take our money. And as with the Mosaic program, it's going to take public input to make this happen, because people need to know. And so I think part of our program ought to be, the NAACP being involved is absolutely phenomenal, because they can get the public involved in that neighborhood. As we move to the other neighborhoods, Pernell, my thought is that you need to take a look and foster someone to say, I would like a tree. And then the neighbor looks over and says, oh, you got a tree. How do I get one? You know? So it's going to be public comment and growing that's going to make this successful. As far as the area you've picked at the moment, I can think of places, I'll defer to the NAACP with private people who would need it. But I can think of a few things that we have. First of all, we have the Housing Authority. I'm not sure that we have trees on 10th Street. We're in that project, and it's actually our land. I don't know whether we have them or whether we don't. We do have them. Okay? And the other thing was we've worked aggressively with Habitat for Humanity, and they've been very kind to doing it with us. I'm not sure whether trees have been provided for those rehab homes that people, we've put them in, that they put themselves in, actually. Whether or not, you know, they could be offered. That would be an outlet for getting trees in. And I guess my point of view is, frankly, the more we can put into a neighborhood where someone turns around and looks at their neighbor's yard and says, oh, you just got a tree. And she says, yes. I went to the city, they put the tree in, now I'm going to have shade on the sidewalk. The more of that we can foster, the more successful the program will be.
So City of Orlando has a tag that they hang around the tree, and the coordinator that's managing that program over there actually sent me all this, you know, the flyers or postcards or whatever that they use. So we could do something like that.
Yeah, you can do
where-
whatever works.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the word of mouth among neighbors is the easier way to get it done.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to work with our business improvement, but that's okay.
Yeah.
My only concern with this particular ordinance, and I don't know if it's in it or not, I read it a few days ago, is that this initial timeline that you outlined seemed awful short for the first one. And so if you've already had a lot of outreach, then that would be, maybe it could accomplish, but if you're, you know, and I think our objective is to get the sidewalks and everything. Trees, the sooner you get them planted, the sooner they create what you want them to be. So I'm just wondering if maybe we need to look at the timeline. I don't know if that's in that specific part of it or if I read it somewhere else.
Well, I think we wanted to install something by spring, just because we
Right.
want to, you know, take, because of the rain season,
Agreed.
things like that. This year will be tight schedule. But we're going to use, NAACP and any other organization in the community to help promote the program. And if there is anybody left behind and doesn't get to do it this year, I will keep their application for next year, and I can present that to the board as part of the 1B project, something like that. We'll have to come up with a solution, but we'll definitely push to promote the program.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Do the private owners get to pick what tree they want on their property, or is that up to?
Right, so it's out of the 5 choices, they get to pick one.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions from the board? No. Okay. We're going to start with item 1. Is there, we'll have a motion. So approval resolution 12/2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. We're going to move to item number 2. Approval of the recommended trees, the oak tree, pigeon plum, gumbo limbo, and the Geiger
So
tree.
moved.
and Green buttonwood. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, item number 3. This one says, we're going to start, this one is for the approval to start with the East Stewart first as a priority for the resolution. Is there a motion?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, finally, we're moving to item 4, which is the 90-day to reestablish, the watering for the city to reestablish, get the trees established in the East Stewart area.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, is there any other matters before the board?
Did we vote on the resolution itself?
That was the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Oh, you're right. Darn.
Is there any other matters before the board?
That was quick, Greg.
If I could address the commission. Thank you. My name is Greg Braun. I am the president of the local chapter of the Native Plant Society. So this is Martin County and St. Lucie County. We appreciate Pinal reaching out to us to ask us for input on this. We have tried to select a number of plants, not necessarily because they're native, but because of the attributes of native plants. Once they get established and they're watered in, they don't require any supplemental watering. They don't require fertilization. They're very low maintenance. They provide the kind of fruits and nuts for the native wildlife, so we think that they're perfect ones. We appreciate you reaching out to us. With me is Pam Hopkins. She's the vice president of our local chapter, and when Pinal came to us and asked if we would be interested in participating in this, I canvassed our board. We got several members to join a little subcommittee to look at this, and we think it's a great thing. We appreciate the initiative to get this started. What came up afterwards was Pinal asked about carbon sequestration, and that wasn't one of the criteria that we were initially looking at, but things like oak trees very definitely have that high level of carbon uptake. So it's good for the environment, and we certainly appreciate having several different options in there so that the property owners can select the ones that specifically they want for their own property. So thank you very much.
All right, thank
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any other matters before the board, Pinal?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Move adjourned.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go.